Yay, welcome everyone. My name's Rita Fleming, and I'm very excited to co-host this call today with my dear friend and sister, Ilsa. And I just want to start by inviting everyone into this space, take a moment to connect with each other. Go ahead and put something that you're grateful for in the chat. It can be a moment, it can be a person, something from today. I'd love to hear. And so we're all here today to discuss Beauty Within, which is a beautiful and an amazing program. And I want to start out by talking about reciprocity. So drop a one if you really relate with this word, reciprocity. And so I was thinking today, has anyone here ever hopped into a cold mountain lake or a body of water or a river? Yeah, drop a two in the comment if you have. And did you feel more alive and awakened as a result? How did you feel afterwards? So I was thinking of a time when I was really exhausted. I wasn't really feeling so great that day. And then I jumped into a cold body of water and then I came back to life. I felt amazing. And it's because that lake, that body of water really rejuvenated me. It gave me something. And in return, I wanted to give something back to nature. That's that reciprocity when we're given something and we want to give something back. And to me, that's the foundation of this program. That is really what we're doing here. We're working with amazing nutrient dense foods that we're regenerating the soils, giving back to the land. And then that's coming back to us in our own form of regeneration and restoration. So I wanted to share a little bit of a few stories about Beauty Within, because this is really a movement of reclaiming our wholeness at every capacity. And, maybe parts of ourselves or times in our lives that we might have rejected. And this is about really restoring that wholeness and bringing back this level of unconditional love to our lives. And so that's what we're going to be diving into. And, I have a memory of when I was 16, and I was really blessed and lucky in my upbringing. I did have quick access to nature, which gave me a lot of confidence. I also had a daily personal development and alignment program that also helped me feel really confident and connected to myself and not judge myself so much towards external standards. So I'm grateful for that. And that was like kind of my core, my core pillar. But there was a moment that I remember when I was 16, and it was one of my really dear friends. And we were in the high school bathroom. And I just remember her looking in the mirror and her shoulders collapsing and her heart collapsing and her body collapsing because she was judging herself to an external standard. And in that moment, I just wished she could have seen herself through my eyes, because she was radiant and beautiful and strong and athletic, but she didn't see herself that way at all. So, Beauty Within is this reclamation of ourselves at every level. And it's also a conversation with the parts of ourselves that maybe we have rejected, but also a conversation with the parts of ourselves that are so radiant that maybe we keep it boxed up because we're afraid to shine that bright. So I want to pass it to Ilsa to share a little bit about her story and her own transformation through this program. So Ilsa, passing it to you, dear.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you so much for being here with me today, too. So there are many different aspects of my life that I could share today. As far as I was lucky enough that I was brought up homeschooled, I was on a farm, I was in nature all the time. And when I was little, I felt like I had no boundaries for myself. And I was deeply connected to myself. And when I breached out into the world, I had a very different experience. So many of you know me right now as like a confident, happy, outgoing, ambitious human. But there have been many times when I didn't feel like that. And I felt like I couldn't even fathom what that would feel like in my body or my mind. So one moment was when I was 26 and I was working for a catering company in Utah at this big ski resort. And there were all of these wealthy people who were coming there all the time. It was like the hub for all of the wealthiest people in Utah. And then they were collaborating with all these world changers and movers and shakers. And I remember these beautiful, stunning women who are entrepreneurs coming in off the mountain and having these creative meetings and planning these epic events and standing in their own power. And I remember feeling so small and like a shell of myself and thinking, I wish I was her. I wish I felt so confident. I wish I was that gorgeous. Um I wish I had what she had, you know. And I got so nervous around these people too. I could barely carry on a normal conversation. I would want to start a conversation, but there was that little voice in my head that would say, just shut up, Ellis. Like nobody wants to hear what you have to say. And I felt like I really didn't matter in the world and that nothing I did would really make a difference. And the worst part at that point in time in my life was that I had lost sight of the future version of myself or what that could be on any level. So I stopped taking care of myself and I started just coping. And I feel like a lot of people end up in that situation where you're just in survival mode. You know, you're just getting by to get by and getting through the day. So this took me down a long road of self-activated disappointment. And I didn't believe that I was worthy of greatness or even goodness at that point in time. And that belief catalyzed a series of toxic relationships and events in like every aspect of my reality. And I could not get out of my head. No matter how many nature walks I took, you know, it's still that little self judgment, that voice was consistent on a day to day basis. I was just pulling myself down on every level. And this pattern kept going until I found the right support. And yes, I like got myself out of toxic situations. I moved my environment and all of these things, but I still didn't feel good enough and I still didn't feel worthy. And I still was unable of taking the action that I truly deeply wanted to on a day-to-day basis for myself and like be the change that I wanted to see in the world. So what I found based on this program and how I was able to come into my own self, um, well, what I found is that many of us dim our light for others, you know, and we do it almost unconsciously or frequently unconsciously, and we reject parts of ourselves because we don't feel worthy. We don't validate our own needs because of this self-judgment that's within. And that's what I experienced myself. And what I discovered through this program is that sometimes we have to nurture and nourish our body first in order to truly recognize our own worthiness within, to be able to touch base with that core self. And we have to clear the toxicity away in order to be able to come home to ourselves. And that's what it really felt like to me. This whole healing journey for me has just been coming home to my body and myself and my soul and stepping into my own power in a way that I never, ever thought was possible. And now I can take action for myself on a daily basis in the way that I want to, even when I'm not feeling spunky, you know, I still have that truth within me. And it's because I strengthened my adrenal glands, because I repaired my gut lining, and like so much more than that, you know. But it started with my body and it was the easiest leg up. And the other things just started dropping away. So I feel so passionate about this because I want to share it with all of you as far as there's a hack, you know, to get to the other side, to feel closer to yourself. And it starts with the cellular level. Um, so I want to ask you, you know, just put a 7 in the chat if there's ever been a time in your life where you felt worthless or just not good enough or not pretty enough or not ambitious enough and you were having trouble taking action for yourself in the way that you really wanted to. Yeah, Mary. Thanks. Yeah, I feel like we've all had these moments, right? And like it gets better, you know, but then there's always the struggle. And when we put our bodies first, it doesn't have to be hard anymore. Yes, beautiful. Thanks for sharing, everybody. So with that, I'd love to pass it back to Rita. That's my tale of the day. But she's got a lot more that we want to share with you.
Thank you so much, Ilsa, for sharing your story. And I hadn't heard that story before, so it's I just really appreciate you being vulnerable. And, sometimes we do put ourselves on the back burner, or sometimes we have experiences where we put other people's needs above our own, and so just you having this reclamation in a way that nourishes yourself so you can give back is really beautiful. And, many people know me as an entrepreneur who has impacted thousands of lives. And I've been so lucky that I've been able to help, over 11,000 families to create generational health and peace and purpose. But there was also a time in my life as well where I forgot my worthiness and my gifts. And I really compared myself to the athlete that I once was. And 2011 was a time in my life when I did feel broken and I was putting the pieces together. I had abandoned myself from being in a relationship that really didn't serve me. And in the process, I became really miserable. And so I went from feeling so alive to feeling numb inside, and to being one of the fastest women in the state to walking with a limp. And this is because I was still recovering from an accident that I'd been in, 6 years previous. And so, sometimes we go through these experiences in our life that really challenge and test us. And I was at a time where it just felt like everything was so overwhelming. I just couldn't breathe. And I looked in the mirror and I saw someone who had lost her dreams and someone who hadn't lived up to her potential. And I was embarrassed by her because I knew what she was capable of, and I knew her strength, and I knew what she was made of. But I just couldn't find this woman anywhere. So Beauty Within is a lifeline that I needed at that time when life became too heavy to hold. And with Beauty Within, it was the first time that I came home to myself and felt like myself in 15 years. So it's just amazing what we can do when we replenish our bodies at that level. And just after 3 days of adding in these micronutrient dense superfoods, the lights came on in my body. And I had gone into this knowing that I was missing something vital and important. And what I learned is, we're really deficient at that micronutrient level because our soils are so deficient. And so in this program, we're working with nutrient dense food that's wind dehydrated and, harvested at peak ripeness and comes from biodiverse soils, which actually informs our bodies at a really deep level so we can restore and come home to ourselves. And that's what it was for me. It was just the lights turned on, and it was the first time that I recognized myself in 15 years after doing this for 90 days. And after 3 months, I signed up for my first 5K run off the couch, and I got 8th place. So it was a true homecoming to myself and to passions that I had lost throughout my own healing process, throughout my injury recovery process. And, the next day I felt like I could have, just run again. Like I was so revitalized and my recovery was so quick. So Beauty Within to me was definitely a second chance at my dreams and a second chance at my life and my passions. And what I learned is to never give up on ourselves. So even if all of us are going to have challenges, right? Put a 7 or raise your hand if you've never had a challenge. And what's so beautiful about, challenges is they can also bring us back to humanity, to this deeper empathy, this deeper connection, right? We're all going to have to navigate something at some point in our lives, whether it's physical or emotional or a relationship challenge. But that ability to come home to ourselves and nurture ourselves so that we can show up for others and show up for our passions is what this is really about. So I also learned that, if no one else believes in your dreams or believes that they're possible, never give up, keep going. Because I was told that I'd never get back to normal activities after my accident, and now I'm thriving and I'm in that athletic space again. So never give up on yourself, because there's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a solution. And so if anyone here is ready to just breathe more abundance and joy and expansion into your life, or let go of things that are no longer serving you, whether that's physically or emotionally or past events, maybe things didn't work out the way that we had anticipated that they would, I just invite you into this experience, so that we can all really receive and let go of what's no longer serving and step into what is truly serving us and who we truly are and what we're capable of. So this is very much a safe space of transformation, and we're working with the principles of bioregeneration, and Dave Sandoval is the amazing formulator of the superfoods that we're going to be incorporating into this process. And throughout that, like I said, we're working with nutrient dense whole foods. And then we're going to be working with gentle detoxification and cleansing through adding these alkaline, mineral rich foods into our bodies. So our bodies can let go of waste and let go of toxins and let go of stored emotions. And we're going to be working on deep, deep sleep, restoring our sleep patterns, which is a time when our body lets go of stress, when our nervous system lets go of stress, and where we can really relax and restore and regenerate. We're also going to be working on stress reduction and supporting our endocrine system, our adrenal glands, which help our body to find regulation and to even find peace in moments where that would normally be stressful. So we're going to be working on toning and supporting our nervous system and all the systems of the body. And then we'll have daily movement. So what this experience includes is our support, our amazing community. We're going to have weekly accountability, where these accountabilities are just showing up for ourselves in new ways, right? Because our lives are determined by our habits, our daily habits. And so if we can make one small shift in our habits, we can have a completely different outcome, a completely different results, and we can become unrecognizable to ourselves. Our lives can become unrecognizable through small habit shifts. So this space is going to be incredible, where we're really just uplifting each other. It's a safe space, and you can commit to yourself, recommit to yourself each week, one small thing that you're going to commit to yourself. Maybe that's getting outside for 10 minutes. Maybe that's having 5 minutes a day to yourself. And all the while, we're going to be flooding our body with this nutrient dense food and going through this transformation that really comes from the inside out. And it is a transformation. It's a personal transformation at every level by adding in these nourishing foods. And like I said, it was truly the missing link in my life. And I had done so much. I had been working in regenerative health. I had been working in so many ways to support my body and my thriving. And this was that missing link that it was the key to turn on everything else and bring me home. So that's our goal and our intention for everyone. And then you're going to be receiving 2 organic superfood meals a day. And that they work out to be $6 for an organic superfood meal, which I don't know about you, but I cannot find a meal for $6, especially an organic one. It's about the price of a coffee. So we're going to be flooding ourselves with this, and it's going to save you on your time, your energy, your grocery bill. So really, it just makes life so much easier, and you're going to receive everything that you need. We're going to be working with those micronutrient dense foods in the form of delicious shakes. And what I find is that I end up eating 2/3 less food because it's so nutrient dense. I feel so nourished. And then other things that are not necessarily serving us naturally start to fall away and fall out, whether that's sugars or, whatever it may be for you, whatever that treat is. And the reason that falls away is because the gut microbiome starts to shift and change, and we start to change our internal terrain, and we start to crave things that are really good for us and really good for our body. And this is all about, abundance and flooding ourselves. There's no restriction whatsoever. And you're also going to have all of your support covered with your protein intake. We have our super amino 23, and that is just supporting you with all that you need as far as like your protein, but in a way that's easy for your body to absorb and digest and assimilate, which supports our nervous system and our brain and our strength and our connective tissue and our collagen. And so we're going to be getting everything that we need. And it also comes with these incredible shakes that support our lymphatic system, support all of the systems of our body, and also support our own collagen production, So we're going to be working on reducing stress, and we're going to be working on really thriving and replenishing ourselves from the inside out. So I'm just excited for this, and gut support, all of it is included. So, and then alongside that, you also have this container and this community, and an app that we have, as well as recipes. But really what I found is we transform when we do things together. And there's truly nothing that we can't do when we go on this journey together. And I know I started this call with reciprocity, this word. And so this is what this business and this, experience is really all about, is just reciprocal relationships, reciprocal experiences, and fueling and flooding, replenishing the soil so that, and it can replenish us in return. So I love this. I'm so excited, and I want to pass it to you, Ilse, for any, thoughts that you want to share.
Thank you, Rita. You just nutshelled the whole thing really well. So I don't have that much to add on to that, other than if you're just curious about like how good you could feel in your body, that's how this started for me. As far as I was in deep chronic pain when I started this journey originally, and that was my motivation. But I was very skeptical. I was like, you know what, maybe I'll give it a whirl. One of my good friends, Heidi, who pulled me into it too, like I was at the time I was drinking every day, and she was like, do you think you could stop drinking for 10 days? And I was like, I don't know if I want to. And throughout the journey, I found that like it does really drop away, like these things that we latch onto for our coping mechanisms, or whatever the reason why we need these little vices in our lives. It was easier than I thought it would be to release what wasn't serving me, and to step into this new sense of myself, and to just embrace the journey as I went. And I was so surprised at how I felt throughout the process. So that's all I really had to add on there. And if whoever drew you to this call, please reach out to them if it wasn't me, and we'll get you lined up.
Mm-hmm.
Rita, want to talk about before we finish up?
Yeah, thank you, Ilse. I just want to share, this experience and this container. What I love about it is it's a time where we can have that permission to shine, have that permission to give back to ourselves again, so that we can show up in all the ways that we want to. So yeah, thank you all for just taking the time to explore and be in this conversation with us. This is a much bigger conversation. It touches on so many levels, so many deep levels, and we want to continue this conversation and this support, and just would love to share, the vehicle and tools and resources that have helped us to transform our lives and get to where we are now. So if you want to join us on that journey, whether it's just simply feeling more nourished, or having time for yourself, or the ability to like truly show up for yourself at that cellular level, we'd love to do this with you. So yes, I'll open it up for questions in a moment. And for those of you that came, like Ilse said, please just get back to the person that invited you, so you can learn more and ask questions and customize something specific for you. And the accountability container starts on June 1st. And we also have some amazing sales that are going on for Memorial Day. So if you want to stock up on superfoods, on greens, on strengthening aminos, on tart cherry to help you sleep, on gut support, now is just a great time to also, stock up and have it on hand. Because it's like, filling your medicine cabinet. So great. And I'm going to open it up to questions. Let me see here.